Hi, everybody. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is going to be my take on the astrology and then the horoscopes for the individual signs and ascendants for March 2024. So we have eclipse season starting. So we'll have our first eclipse towards the end of March, and I'll discuss that in a few minutes, in Libra. And then, of course, in April, we will have a new moon total eclipse in Aries. So I would say the significant thing that's going on this month is that Mars is in Aquarius for most of this month. And what is that? Mars in Aquarius says to me unique, unusual ideas, maybe even scientific breakthroughs of some sort coming through from a collective level. Great energy put into humanitarian causes, great energy put into rebellion. That type of thing could be going on all of March as well. And especially with the eclipse at the end being a full moon, there may be some culmination of some sort with regards to these types of things, right? All right. So right on the 1st of March, we have the sun is going to be conjuncting Mars, 10 degrees of Pisces. And so this says to me that some kind of rule or rules and regulations may come into place here. And I'm thinking in particular in Pisces, we're always looking at compassionate things, immigrants, that type of thing, where there may be some real interesting stuff goes on there with regards to rules and regulations being put down that may have not been there before. We look at the 3rd of March, we're then looking at Venus squaring Uranus. And so we're starting off the month here with sort of a lot of energy that's moving around, some sort of challenges, I would say, as well. Now, when we look at Venus, we're talking about love on an individual level, and more of on a collective level, we're looking at our money systems. And so right at the 3rd of March, we may have some kind of challenge with regards to the money systems. And I mentioned this last month as well, but this could bring something up pretty significant because this is an eclipse month as well, right? So when we look at our first lunation, it is a new moon in Pisces at 20 degrees of Pisces, 17 minutes at 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now we look at the rulers of the moon, and the modern ruler, of course, is Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces at this time. It's not conjunct the moon and the sun, but it is hovering kind of close by with regards to it being in the same sign. And we also look at the more ancient ruler, and that, of course, is Jupiter. And we know that Jupiter is in Taurus right now. So with the Neptune being so close by to this moon and sun, there's sort of this element of literally water. So there may be some significant things that happen with regards to our water. This could go different ways. Maybe we're going to discover ways to clean up our water in a more efficient way that can be adapted by many people. But this also can bring in that whole immigrants and migrants type thing as well. Just straight off, it can bring in compassion. And, when we look at, so I have my charts with me as well. And, when I looked at this new moon, there's so much going on in Pisces. So we've got the Saturn, we've got the moon, the sun, Neptune. But then we have Mercury, even though Mercury is conjunct with Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, it's out of that sign. And so I really got this impression that there may be some kind of ending with regards to maybe a world leader of some sort, just with the whole lineup of Saturn, the moon, the sun, Neptune, all in Pisces, followed by that Mercury at 0 degrees of Aries. And of course, that sextiles Pluto over at 1 degree of Aquarius. And so this really brought in, a transformational aspect as well. This could also lend itself to some literal big changes with regards to some world leaders of some sort as well, where there's some announcements that come out regarding that. And I think also whatever comes up around this time whatever announcements come out, especially with that Mercury at 0 degrees, right? That's a critical degree, sextiling that Pluto. Pay attention to what comes out at this time, because Pluto will be staying around that 0 to 2 degree mark, accenting that whole sextile that's formed with Mercury at this new moon in Pisces, right? All right, so we have Jupiter that is sextile Saturn, which is positive. That's bringing in some creative energy and expansion with regards to structures around us. This could also be, foreign, some kind of foreign element here, given opportunities to lay down the law, to put down the law, to make laws, that type of thing as well. And actually, Jupiter and Saturn together also can be the courts. And so there may be some significant things that come up here with regards to some kind of ongoing court or legal matter, where it's like, I get this vision of the judges, the courts taking control of that and laying down the law. Mm-hmm. We have Mars, as I said, that's in Aquarius most of the month, will be squaring Uranus. And so this is just upsets. It's upsets. It's also frustration. And as I mentioned last month as well, these types of aspects are around the 10th of March. So you can take days on either side of it. If you're frustrated, that's okay. But do know that this will pass. It also says to me delays, unexpected delays. So if you're listening to this in early February when I'm making this, maybe don't plan some big, launch or something like that around, even though it's a new moon, because that's a pretty significant transit there when we've got Mars squaring Uranus. So upsets, and of course, on a sort of mundane level, this could also be things literally coming out of the earth as well. Again, earthquakes, volcanoes, that type of thing. All right, when we look at, after this moon, we've got the 18th of March, and we have the Sun conjunct Neptune. And I think this is beautiful. Sun conjunct Neptune really brings out our compassionate sides of ourselves. It can also bring out things like inspiration with regards to Neptunian things. So inspiration for dance, inspiration for especially music, as well as sculpture of any sort of more leaning on the artistic side, right? It's like dreaming the dream, but putting it into these Pisces types things, which I think is some significant music could be made around this time, around that 18th of March. I like that a lot. The 19th of March, now we're going to have Mercury in Aries start its shadow period at 16 degrees of Aries. And in my individual signs that I'm going to do towards the end of this video, I am actually going to cover the Mercury retrograde as well, because it's a pretty significant one. In April, the actual retrograde starts early April, though, the first couple days of April. So that's why I'm going to cover it in this video as well. So pay attention to what happens around that 19th of March with regards to what? Well, it's new initiatives because it's in Aries. It's you wanting to express something individual. You want to move forward with something. And of course, Mercury itself refers to communications, any aspect of communications. It also refers to thoughts as well, writing, text, emails, phone calls. Pay attention to what comes up around that time period, because you will need to be addressing it again or going back over it again in April. When we look at the 24th of March, just before that full moon eclipse, we have Venus in Pisces sextiling Uranus. Okay, well, this is brilliant too. This is this nice opportunity to perhaps do something unusual with regards to anything Venus. So this could be an opportunity to increase our value of some sort. It's also love and money. So this could be opportunities to make some money unexpectedly. Opportunities to potentially fall in love. But there's this unexpected element when we're talking about Uranus's involvement here. If we go back a few days, we actually have the spring equinox that's going to be coming up. And the spring equinox I've got here in my chart on the Pacific coast is going to be March 19th at 8:07 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. The sun will go in at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Aries. And of course, this also represents the astrological new year as well. So this is a significant time. And I've put the chart up here for you to take a look at because there's a few things that stood out for me. Notably, we've got the moon at this equinox at 3 degrees of Leo. And then opposite to that, we have Pluto at 1 degree and 39 minutes of Aquarius. So this is an opposition that's happening here. And to me, this is igniting all things Leo. That's what I got from this equinox. So all things Leo, what does that mean? Well, it certainly rules things like royalty. It rules things like being our authentic selves. So there's going to be an accent on that in terms of an energy. And it also rules things like expressing your autistic side. So this also could be a 3-month time period, right? Starting at the 19th of March with regards to being authentic when you express your authentic self and artistic self. So this could be maybe some significant works of art are going to be coming through here. Or just something that is artistic, maybe not necessarily painting a painting, but that could be here too. There may be some people that take that up around this time and over the 3 months produce something of real value and significance. It also rules children, Leo. And so something could come up with regards to children too. And I'm thinking, kind of generalizing that with regards to children and in school, there may be some things that come up with regards to that as well, right? It's also games of chance. But the big thing too, besides being authentic with Leo, is having fun. So take advantage of any of those types of energies coming up around that 19th of March, 2024, and maybe have some fun. There is a yod that's formed at this equinox, and the yod involves anchoring it is going to be Venus as well as Saturn at 10, 12 degrees of Pisces, and then Jupiter at 14 of Taurus. And they're going to be pointing to that south node that is at 15 degrees of Libra. So what does that all mean? Well, to me, it's bringing in a lot of factors to do with justice. In fact, that's what I came up with when I looked at this a few times. Lady Justice comes in, literally maybe riding her horse with the scales of justice. That's what I got at this. So this, again, I think is going to mark something like that with regards to something happening in the collective, right? But it's also about balance. That's the other thing I got too, that we need to seek balance. And that may also be brought up around this equinox. Start to see balance in your life. Seek harmony in your life as well, especially as it is with regards to other people, in particular relationships, right? When we look at that whole Libra influence as well. But Libra does represent any other, right? Okay. Let's move on now to that final lunation of the month. And of course, that is that full moon eclipse at 25th of March. And it is at 5 degrees of Libra, 7 minutes. So what's the ruler? The ruler of that, of course, is Venus. And that Venus is in compassionate, intuitive, psychic, very, very feeling Pisces. This is going to happen at 12 noon Pacific Daylight Time. And I looked up what the Sabian symbol, I don't always cover the Sabian symbols, but I did for this one. I like to do it for eclipses for sure. And so we always round up in terms of degrees. So we look at 6 degrees of Libra. And for that degree point, this is what it says. A man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision. So this is projecting what you see inside your head. So these are what? These are our dreams, our hopes, our wishes, right? It's also our intuition that's coming into play here as well. But it's asking, are your dreams, are what you are intuiting, are all these things well conceived, well thought through? And it's a question, right? But it's a wrap up here of some sort. And, going out again to the collective, because this is in Libra, we could say that it could be anything to do with legal matters in the collective, diplomatic type things. On a personal level, it could involve that too, but it may also involve some endings of relationships, or at least some endings from the standpoint of how you're handling that relationship, right? Now, don't forget, you're going to have another eclipse happening in Libra this year on the 2nd of October. That's going to be at 10 degrees of Libra. And as I said, that's a new moon. So whatever ends here, there will be something new that's going to be starting at the beginning of October in this same area. Now, at this eclipse, we have a wide conjunction between the North Node and Mercury, around 15 degrees of Aries. And of course, if we think about it and we go back up and we say, where did that shadow period start for that Mercury retrograde on the 19th of March? It's at 15, 16 degrees of Aries. So there's some connection here with this eclipse with regards to communications, with regards to our thoughts, with our desire to move forward with something with regards to our destiny, right? So there's a tie-in here with that North Node conjuncting Mercury at that conjunction of the 15 degrees of Aries and the Mercury retrograde that officially starts next month in April. We have nicely Venus sextiling Jupiter. We have a wide sextile between Saturn and Jupiter. And so these are just positive energies with regards to expanding what we want to do, expanding what is important to us, expanding our structures in our life. It even could do with, travel of some sort becomes something that's pleasurable as opposed to travel not being so pleasurable. And so it kind of lends itself to that from a collective level. We do, though, have Venus doing a wide conjunction with Saturn. And for me, I would say that this also says, there could be some delay. There could be some delay with regards to money coming in for you if you have something around this degree point. It can also say it's not quite time yet. And so if I go back to the fact that this is a full moon eclipse, there's also this stop sign as well that's coming up with this Venus and Saturn that says not quite yet. So going back to that whole Sabian symbol, it's just saying, just review those things that you really think you want to do here. Review your visions, review your dreams, your hopes, what you want to move forward with. Just do a double check on it. Okay. We also have here, with the sun that's going to be in Aries, we have both the North Node on one side of the sun and we have Neptune on the other side. And I just got this impression when I looked at this that there may be some kind of destiny with regards to things that we want to manifest for ourselves. This also could be a time period where, something comes to light with somebody in a position of power where it's almost like they could grab some destiny of some sort here. But they may do it through, I think with this Neptune very close by to the sun here at 5 degrees of Aries at this full moon eclipse. I just got this grab of some sort. But doing it through fogginess through means that maybe are not so on the up and up, right? And we still have at this time too, we've got Mars now has gone into the first degree of Pisces, but we have Mars, we've got Saturn, we've got Venus, and we still have Neptune. They're all in Pisces. And so we're wrapping up the month here, the 25th. And so again, I feel it's a time of endings. And it's not necessarily a time of endings of, this feeling of loss necessarily, but it's like this wrap up. Let's just let this stuff go. Let's start something new here. So it's that sort of feeling that I still get, even though this is a completely different moon in Libra. But both these, the new moon in Pisces and then this full moon eclipse in Libra, I just get this feeling of letting go of some loss, but that it's important to do that if we're going to go on this new destiny path. And we may have somebody step forward to try to lead us in that way. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. On the 28th of March, we have Venus sextiling Uranus. So towards the end of the month, we've got this lovely Venus sextile Uranus. So this is opportunities for us to what? To potentially connect with someone in a love connection, an opportunity maybe to raise the value of ourselves, the opportunity to potentially make some money. But this, in from a collective level, can also be a time period where we have the opportunities to make changes with regards to our global currencies. I just wanted to mention, I talked about immigrants and that throughout this whole March 2024, and I think this is going to be important for sure. But I wanted to mention a client of mine, Patricia Pepper, has published this fabulous book called Passport, Please. I read it and I really enjoyed it. She gives a really compassionate but sort of true view of what happens being part of an immigration system. And this one is in the UK. I'm going to put the link below to her book, but it is a really good read and it combines a lot of things. But there's real compassion in this book and real understanding and feelings for the people who she has to make decisions about with regards to an immigration standpoint. I can't wait to see the movie when it comes out. All right, link below. So I'm going to move on next to your sun signs or ascendants you choose. I like the ascendants to start off with because it really indicates the area of your life, but the sun is also important in your chart. And of course, that gives you just a little bit more information how personally you might be affected as well. Before I do that, let's just do the April peak right now, okay? So April's going to just be hands down a big month. And Aries, you are featured 100%. What do we have in Aries? We've got our eclipse on the 8th of April. We have a Mercury retrograde happening in Aries. We've got Venus that's in Aries. And all these are going to be operating in Aries almost the whole month of April. And we also have, of course, that big conjunction of Jupiter conjunct Uranus at 21, 22 degrees of Taurus. So April is going to be a big month. I will cover that in detail. I did a video already, actually, for Jupiter conjunct Uranus through the ascendants and signs. I'll put that link below too, should you like to look at it. All right, let's move on to the sun signs and or ascendants next. All right, Pisces. So Pisces, Happy New Year to you, my clients, as well as my viewers. So that new moon falls in your first house. And, it's there with Saturn as well as Neptune. And so for some Pisces, you may actually have some new structures come into your life with regards to literally the spiritual side of your life. Others may become nurses, for instance, and or doctors around this time, or take on a role like that that's important for them. Now, something that you might want to note, Pisces, is that you're going to be entertaining or hosting the North nodes going into Pisces by transit starting in January 2025. And so what does that mean? It means that we're going to start having eclipses in your sign and the opposite sign of Virgo. And in particular, there is going to be a first eclipse, a full moon eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces on the 17th of September. I'll cover that in my September video, but I just wanted to give you the heads up for that. If you wanted to bring something to a conclusion, take between now and September maybe to do that. When we look at the full moon in Libra, that is your 8th house. And so there could be some literal wrap up here with regards to some money matter of some sort. For some Pisces, maybe you're going to be accessing some of your pension funds or your 401ks, or cashing in some of your investments, where you have to work from a legal standpoint with others to make that happen. This can also be things like a wrap up with regards to anything that's been going on behind the scenes with regards to maybe healing of some sort. Maybe there has been some Pisces that have been in some psychological counseling, perhaps with their partner, and there's a natural ending. It doesn't mean your relationship's going to end. It just means that maybe there's some aspect that you finally wrapped up and decided, okay, let's move on from here in a positive way. Now, when we look at that Mercury, which is basically just in shadow period for the month of March, but it goes retrograde the 1st and 2nd of April. I wanted to give you the heads up on that because, you know, in the shadow period, it will be in your 2nd house. And so it means that in April time period, and that Mercury retrograde really goes on almost the whole of April, that there's going to be some maybe behind the scenes corrections or discussions regarding the income that you make. This may be tied into the value of yourself. So when Aries, we're talking about you want to do something unique your way. And so it could be that you identify in March something new that you want to do and you start making announcements about it. And then once the Mercury retrograde starts in April, you have to backtrack a bit and maybe redo some of the paperwork, redo a contract, consider a contract, or just maybe rewrite something that you've been involved in. So April may involve that for you. It can also have you, I'm thinking from a positive standpoint, if you've been waiting on money, for instance, that you thought you were going to get in March, and then all of a sudden it doesn't come and April comes by, it has you, working behind the scenes to get that money put back into your account or put into your account that you're owed, right? It's money that you earn, that 2nd house. But it could be just you reviewing or deciding to review at the Mercury retrograde the value of yourself and the value you place on yourself. All right. Take care of yourself, Pisces. So Aries, well, we know that the month of April is going to be pretty big for you. But we also know that even in March, you are entertaining almost the whole month Mercury in your sign. So this could have you, being a little bit of a gadabout, going here, going there, discussing things, maybe even writing some things, big communications, all about you wanting to express your individual self. Aries is all about being the individual. It's all about me. So it might be some new initiatives that you start exploring, talking about, discussing in March that you have to maybe take behind the scenes in April and review them. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But look, let's get back to the moons in March. So that new moon in Pisces falls in your 12th house. So, the 12th house actually is ruled by Pisces in the natural zodiac. So it's a positive link there for you. And of course, we do have Neptune. The ruler is actually in Pisces as well. So this is some kind of new start with regards to maybe you taking better care of yourself. Because, that 12th house can also represent, rest, literally taking a rest. So for some Aries that have been overdoing it, this may be this decision around that 10th of March that you decide, I have got to take some rest here and stop working so hard, or stop worrying so much too. That can be another aspect that can come in here. But for others, this may be a new start with regards to, it could be the metaphysical world, because of course that is the 12th house too. But I'm thinking for those Aries that are kind of artistic, especially with regards to music, poetry, even dance, that this could have you at this new moon making the decision to start working really hard behind the scenes in those areas, those artistic areas of life. When we look at the full moon eclipse in Libra, well, we know that that's your opposite sign. So this is going to really highlight your partner, your business partner, your marriage partner, even your clients as well, right? And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we have another eclipse that will happen on the 2nd of October in Libra at 10 degrees. So some ending here with regards to your partner is going to give a fresh start the beginning of October at that new moon eclipse that will be happening then in your 7th house. Your partner just could have something to say, some announcement. Maybe your partner has to get involved in something of a legal matter, or something connected to a legal situation. This could also be a time when, maybe you just start reviewing your relationship with your partner. Libra is also diplomatic things. So it could be that your partner gets involved in some kind of diplomacy of some sort, and it affects you directly. All right, Aries. Next month is going to be interesting for you. I'm going to have a lot to say to you. You're also going to have Venus, by the way, in Aries pretty well all of April too. Okay, Aries, take care of yourself. So Taurus, that new moon in Pisces is sextile you, and it's in your 11th house. So for some Taurians, this might be a new start with regards to making some money through your own business. Your own business is in the opposite sign and is in the opposite house, which is the 5th house, right? It could also have you making connections with more spiritual-like friends, more compassionate friends. It could be that some of your friends step up to the plate and, help you out. Maybe there's something going on with some of these Taurians where they actually need someone to dispense some compassion and maybe some assistance comes to you through friends, but it can also come through, the groups that you belong to too. So for those that are in this category, make sure you check all that out and leverage anything that might be of assistance to you. But this also could talk to you being given opportunities to have some hopes, dreams, or wishes come into view for you. They may not manifest this month, but you see the vision, you see you were inspired by what you see and feel that your dream or wish could come true. Apply yourself, and perhaps it will. Now, when we look at that Mercury in shadow in March this month, it falls in your 12th house, Taurus. And so this says to me that there's some kind of illumination with regards to probably how you think. I'm taking Mercury here as your thought processes, because 12th house is everything hidden, right? Now, it could also be that for whatever reason in March, you're working on some project behind the scenes. I mean, Mercury can apply to any kind of communications. It can also apply to writing too. So there may be some Taurians that actually start working behind the scenes with regards to a screenplay, a book, even putting together some kind of systems in place, maybe for the place you work or maybe for you yourself. It may also have you in communication with institutions that are hidden. And this includes things like hospitals. It doesn't mean you're going to be going to the hospital. It just means you may be in communications with that. So it's ashrams, it's government offices, it's prisons, anything that goes on, any place that is hidden normally from view is the 12th house, because that's going to then affect you later in April, where you're going to have to review some of the things that maybe you've had to deal with. This could be contracts. Say you decide to write this book, write the screenplay in March, and you get people saying, yeah, I'm really interested in that, and you get the communications all going and things in place, and then April comes by and you say, wait a minute, let's go back and review this again to make sure we're all on the same page. And certainly April would be a good month to do that, using the Mercury retrograde that way in the 12th house. When we look at that full moon Libra eclipse, that's falling in your 6th house. And so the 6th house is a house that's of service. It is also a house of health. It's typically what we do day to day. And for most of us, it's the job that we do day to day. It's small animals as well. And so there's some kind of wrap up here that's going to be going on, or at least an illumination of a potential ending. So for some Taurians, you may get the view that you're going to leave a job. That might be what this eclipse is. And don't forget, as I mentioned, we're going to have a new moon eclipse also in Libra at 10 degrees on the 2nd of October this year. So that's a new start. And maybe you are getting these intuitions or flashes of insight that I can see myself, I can leave this job, or I can get out of this day-to-day thing I'm doing. Maybe not immediately, but I can see it, that I need to let this go. For others, it could just be, hey, you let go of an old way of taking care of your health. And you say, that's it. I'm going to get better eating habits. I'm going to start working out more. And it can also be mental health too. So for others, you may decide, I'm going to finally go for some therapy here. This has been bothering me for years, and I need someone who's an expert to help me out here. All right, Taurus, take care of yourself. You are still entertaining Jupiter and Uranus. And wow, if you've got anything around 21, 22 degrees of Taurus, that whole conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus around the 25th or so of April is going to affect you directly. And I think it's going to be bringing some positive things for many, many Taurians that they've been waiting for a long time. Take care, Taurus. Okay, Gemini. So Gemini, that new moon in Pisces squares your 10th house. And so when we look at the 10th house, we're looking at things typically of your career, your social standing, your reputation. So there may be some challenges here. Now, this can actually play out with regards to you maybe having to grow in your job or being given extra things to do that you're having to fit them in. It's like you're already doing a lot, and then you're being asked to do more. And you're having to figure out, okay, now I've got to figure out my priorities here in my career. And that's okay. Go to your superiors and say, I can take on this extra stuff, but something else has to go. And you use that new moon to have a new start here. Pisces is also about, intuition, compassion. And so these also might be at the fore here, where what you want to do is kind of put, to the side, where you have to now dispense more compassion and understanding, maybe even more service to people, where you really have already too much on your plate to begin with. And that's the challenge. It doesn't mean you can't do it, Gemini. It just means there may be a challenge of some sort to achieve what you want to achieve in your career. But you could have some help with some friends here, because that Mercury in shadow in March that goes retrograde around the 2nd of April forms a sextile with your 11th house. And the 11th house represents our friends, the groups we belong to. It's also our hopes and wishes. And for those that have their own business, it's also the money we make through our own business. And so this could just bring in lucky things happening with friends and the groups that you belong to. Communications go well. If you've got clients, you communicate maybe more with clients with regards to obtaining money for them. But once that retrograde starts, and it's going to be for most of April, it's going to have you going back over things and reviewing things. So maybe what you talked about, what you wrote about, what you communicated about in March has to be reviewed in some way in April. It doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. Yeah. Now that full moon in Libra, well, it nicely trines your sign and aspects your 5th house, Gemini. So for some Geminis, there might be lovely flowing energy with regards to love coming into your life. This also is a house of expressing our authentic selves. It's our own business. It is children. It's any kind of creative expression, as well as being our authentic selves. So a trine is favorable energy. And so I would say that you may get an opportunity to express your authentic self through some creative project that's given to you. Now it's a full moon. So typically we talk about full moons. It's a full moon eclipse. So they're wild cards. They always are. It can go either way. It could be a new beginning. It could be an ending. But for some Geminis, you're going to be wrapping up some kind of creative project in a very positive way. Maybe there might even be a little element of fame associated with some creative project that you've been working on, either big or small, because the 5th house can rule that too, right? Yeah, some wrap up maybe of a creative project that you've been doing. There may be a legal element associated with it, or diplomacy of some sort associated with it, where you wrap things up and say, okay, I'm done now with this creative project. What's next? All right, Gemini, you take care of yourself. Okay, so Cancer, well, that new moon in Pisces, of course, is a fellow water sign, so it trines your sign beautifully and highlights your 9th house. So this could be a number of things. There's going to be some Cancers that will be maybe getting something published, deciding to go on a trip involving water or over the water. It can also have others getting accepted maybe to do an advanced degree, and still others having some favorable opportunities with regards to foreign people or foreign lands, right? It's also our philosophy too at a base level. So there may be something that comes into play here with regards to your own philosophies that are very positive for you. And maybe with Pisces really accenting spiritual things, you may find, Cancer, that spiritual values and philosophies really support you in new starts in this month of March. Now, when we look at the Mercury retrograde in shadow, it squares your 10th house. And so this is just challenges with regards to communications, whether they're writing, talking, texting, messaging of any sort, even writing, may have some challenges at this time. Maybe you're trying to do too much. Maybe you're communicating too much with the square. But the 10th house also rules your reputation as well as your social standing. And so some Cancers may be in the process of trying to change something in that area, and they just find there's a bit of a challenge there. And when Mercury does go retrograde officially at the beginning of April, you may get the opportunity to rewrite some stuff here, go back maybe on a contract, go back on some of the things that maybe were discussed in the past that you decide you'll discuss again, but that it might be a bit challenging. I always say step back, take the 10,000-foot view of your career, your social standing, and your reputation, and maybe allow some things to come in with regards to communications Don't be so ready to jump in and try to solve the problems. That's what I'm thinking here. All right, Cancer. So when we look at the full moon in Libra, that also squares you, and it squares your 4th house. And so this is some wrap up with regards to what? The home you live in, the home you were brought up in, your mother and your family. There may just be some difficulties there. But it could also be an ending. And I'm thinking it's the ending of difficulties in those areas of life. It's an eclipse, right? Now, remember, we also have a new moon eclipse also in Libra this year, the beginning of October, 10 degrees of Libra, but it's a new moon. So whatever is kind of wrapped up here or wherever there's still lingering difficulties, look to October as things being renewed and being on a much better foot. You could also have, there's going to be some Cancers that may have to, this is Libra, right, have to deal with some legal difficulties with regards to maybe your parents or your mother. Maybe your mother has to go into an institution of some sort or have extra care. And you have to go through legal channels to make this happen for her. And it's not all straightforward. Doesn't mean it can't happen, right? All right, you take care of yourself, Cancer. You've got a fabulous new moon coming up at the beginning of July at 13 degrees of Cancer. That should be awesome for you. Take care. All right, Leo. Leo, that new moon in Pisces is in your 8th house. And so I'm thinking for some Leos, because the 8th house also rules, well, it rules many things. We normally talk about shared resources, but I'm thinking because it's Pisces and you know, I'm thinking there's some psychological thing potentially going on here where there's a new start with regard to the way you emote, the way you think inside your head and then emote out. Maybe for some Leos, you're going to actually take up some psychological therapy that'll be of great benefit for you. It'll give you a new start with regards to what's going on in your head here, right? Can never go wrong with that. But for others, it could be a new start with regards to, I'm thinking shared resources of some sort, some financial sharing, investments, 401ks, pensions, taxes, that sort of thing here too. But it could be a new start. So that means something better for you, right? Some new start with regards to those things. Maybe this will also be a time when some Leos get a good tax return, right? And that gives you a new start with regards to savings or being able to invest or put more in your 401k. But for still others, this could indicate a new sexual relationship of some sort as well. I mean, hey, you've got Neptune in there too, pulsating away, saying, you know, this could be someone that's a real soulmate of some sort for you as well. And so it's very dreamy in terms of this very serious relationship that may come in for you. When we look at that Mercury in shadow in Aries, well, that nicely forms a trine with your sign because, of course, you're both fellow fire signs. And so I would say whether this Mercury is in shadow or when it goes retrograde at the beginning of April, it's all going to favor you. It does involve your 9th house. The 9th house is legal matters. It's travel of any sort. It is dealing with foreign people, foreign things, foreign lands. It is legal matters, as I mentioned. It's also publishing too. So with this trine happening here, all those areas could be very, very favorably highlighted for you. Now, what may happen in March is that there's some active communications or writing or messaging in any or all those areas. Then we have the Mercury retrograde happening in April, and you have to go back on some of those, review some of them. But for other Leos, because this is a favorable trine, I'm thinking that in March you may be given something, maybe a report, maybe some writing of some sort that you do. And then in April, they say, yeah, we really like what you've put forward, say a proposal of some sort. And then you get the go-ahead to, in April, write up and work with others behind the scenes at the Mercury retrograde to put this new initiative together. Don't forget, it's in Aries, right? So I think this is a favorable thing for you, Leo. Yeah. And any legal matter that you may be dealing with could also be favorably resolved, especially with regards to negotiating. It'll be in your favor. Yeah. Now, that full moon in Libra sextiles your third house. So this also supports communications. The third house is communications, it's siblings. So there may be some wrap up with regards to something that you've been dealing with in terms of communications with your siblings, and your neighbors could also be involved here. It also talks about writing projects, short journeys, that type of thing. So if you've been doing, some Leos may have been having to travel around the state or the city, that may come to a natural ending here. At least you get the opportunity. Do you want to continue with this or not? But still, for others, it may be a wrap up of some kind of communications, or maybe a writing project of some sort. Now, it could also have something to do with legal matters. So maybe your will is going to be finished off. Maybe a contract that you've been negotiating with all of March gets wrapped up towards the end at that full moon eclipse favorably for you, right? You get this favorable communication with regards to everyone signing off on that contract. Yeah. I mean, that third house where that eclipse happens, the full moon eclipse happens, it was right opposite your ninth house, right? Which I just spoke about with regards to that Mercury shadow period in March, and then Mercury going retrograde at the beginning of April. So you could have both these areas of your life highlighted here, not only in March, but then again in April as well. Okay. Take care of yourself, Leo. All right, Virgo, that new moon in Pisces is opposite your sign. So Virgo, this just emphasizes your partner is more likely to have some kind of new start here. That's the basic idea here, is that it could also, though, affect clients. If you've got clients or business partnerships, there's some new start here for you, some new initiative that's going to happen. But it's going to involve other people helping you make that new start. So there's going to be some Virgos that decide to start a new business partnership. And or maybe you're going to add something in here to an existing partnership. Now, when we look at Pisces, we talk about things like compassion, service, which is also, the domain of you, Virgo, as well. So there may be some Virgos that get involved in some kind of service-oriented, compassion-type business partnership of some sort. And this may equate to something to do with health, right? Like hospitals type thing as well. It certainly would be an ideal time to do that. You're going to have supportive energies of Neptune there too, as well as Saturn. And of course, that's then going to set in some permanence and durability, the Saturn part of it too, right? But just as likely too, your partner could get involved in something spiritual that has an enduring value of some sort that positively affects you, right? Now, when we look at that Mercury in shadow period in March going retrograde at the beginning of April, it is in your 8th house. And hey, the best way to use that would be in March, start identifying things like do your taxes, identify any holes that are there, any extra stuff you've got to do. Any of your investments, take a look at them carefully, right, before the Mercury goes retrograde. Consult with financial advisors if you think you need to do that. Potentially decide to go into therapy of some sort, because the 8th house represents that too. Yeah, you could have, I'm thinking for some Virgos, just take care with your taxes now we're talking about the USA here. Because in April, you may have something kicked back. with regards to your taxes, where you've missed something, or you have to recalculate something. That could also be something. But there could also be something revealed to you. Pay attention to what comes up with regards to anything to do with money, especially other people maybe that you are involved with regarding your money. Because there's going to be some kind of thing that you have to go back on in April to re-look at things, and maybe redo some things as well. Okay, that full moon in Libra falls in your second house, Virgo. So this could have, because it's an eclipse, and typically I know full moons are endings, and so we tend to lean towards that it's endings, but it can also be a new beginning. It could mean you end a job and you start one the same day. That type of thing could happen at this eclipse, where you just decide, I don't want to do this job anymore. And an opportunity comes in for you to do a new job, to bring in new income. But it literally could be ending one source of income and another one coming in for you. It can also indicate you deciding you want to get rid of some of your possessions that you have, that, you just don't value them anymore and you want to let them go. It can also have something to do with legal matters as well. Maybe there's going to be some legal matter or legal type things. Not that you're going to go into some kind of big legal case of some sort, but there's a legal attachment to the income that you earn. And maybe this involves you negotiating more money because you feel you're not being valued enough. And of course, that's the other thing that whole second house really speaks to, is not only your own values that you have, but also the value of yourself. And maybe for some Virgos, you're going to say to yourself, I'm not being valued enough here. And you decide that you want to start looking for another job at this time. Yeah, just like Pisces, you're going to be affected by the transiting nodes that go into, the north nodes go into Pisces, and the south nodes go into your sign, Virgo, starting in January 2025. And of course, it brings up the fact that you're going to have eclipses in your sign, Virgo. As your first one, Virgo, is going to be in March 2025. But hey, there's an eclipse on the 17th of September in Pisces at 25 degrees opposite your sign. And so there's going to be some initiation here with regards to this as well, right? That whole seventh house could be featured for you, as well as your first house. Certainly starting in January 2025, but there's going to be some indication in September. Either way. All right, Virgo, take care of yourself. So Libra, that new moon that's going to be in Pisces is in your sixth house. And so I'm thinking there's going to be some Librans that take up a job where there's going to be elements of compassion and service, perhaps health-oriented, at this time. That's your new start. You start a job in that area. Now, this can also refer to things like any spiritual type things as well. So there may be some Librans that decide they want to do their day-to-day job or their day-to-day activities, if you don't work, with a big element of spirituality, and maybe even some mystical healing things around this too. It could also just be a new start where you say, look, mentally, I need something here that can support me on a daily basis. And you decide to start practicing some spiritual things, maybe some kind of meditation type thing on a daily basis. And it really turns your life around for you. When we look at that Mercury in shadow, well, it's opposite your sign in your seventh house. So this is going to have you doing communications, messaging, thoughts, talking with a partner, a business partner, a marriage partner, as well as your clients and any other. So this is all going to be in shadow, but still going forward with this Mercury in March. And then at the beginning of April, with that Mercury going retrograde, yeah, you're going to have to go back over whatever it was that you were discussing in March. And let's just say it's something where you put this business partnership together and it seems like it's all good. And then April comes by and you realize someone's not done this, someone's not done that. And maybe you've got to file some things with the county or something if it's a new business partnership. And you just go over all the details in April that maybe you thought you had taken care of in March, but didn't. It can, as I said, feature a partner here. So let's just say it's your marriage partner for some reason, has to do a lot more communications, a lot more messaging. Maybe even they get involved in some kind of writing project of some sort that takes up a lot of their time, but it affects you directly. And so your partner could be featured just as much as you, right? Especially if it's a marriage partnership we're talking about. And it could just have you, because it's an opposition, not arguing necessarily, but maybe debating back and forth about things in your life that maybe you want to have some independence. Maybe they want to have some independence. It's in Aries, right? I want to take my own path. I want to do it my way. And so it's like a give and take is what I'm thinking. May come up more in that April time period, but start getting highlighted here in March. Now, when we look at that full moon Libra, of course, we know it's in your sign. It is at 5 degrees of Libra. Don't forget that you're going to have a new moon start on the 2nd of October, right, at 10 degrees of Libra, and that's an eclipse too. So you're featured here in terms of big changes with regards to you and your partner. And hey, this could play out in a whole bunch of ways. There may be some Librans that are getting married this year. And maybe some discussions will take place in March as well as April, where you pick maybe that time period of the beginning of October to get married. That's your new start when you have that new moon eclipse at 10 Libra. But it can also feature things like anything to do with legal matters, diplomacy, balance. I always look at this Libra too as balance in your life. Are you balancing your life out here? And so that full moon may just shine this big light on your life, Libra, where you say, I don't have balance. I need to seek out balance. And if you are in business partnership and or marriage partnerships, or you're doing too much for clients, this is where you draw a line in the sand and say, I've got to take more time for me here, where I get balance and harmony into my life, and maybe not giving so much or feeling you've got to give so much here, right? Libra is also about, doing the right thing, what they think the right thing is socially. Maybe it's time to let that go, Libra. All right, take care of yourself, Libra. Scorpio. Well, that new moon in Pisces is a fellow water sign, so we know it trines you. And it trines your 5th house. Well, that's exciting. So there's going to be some, I'm thinking for any Scorpios that are involved in music of any sort, any of the arts actually, but in particular music, dance, this could be an awesome opportunity for you to have a new start in this area. It's also a new start with regards to children. There may be some Scorpios get pregnant at this time or give birth at this time. It's also any kind of creative project. It's also you expressing your authentic self. So there's going to be some Pisces that get this opportunity, this creative opportunity, maybe to make music or dance that really expresses who they are authentically, right? Yeah, it's really awesome to have that. Like I said, it's also children too. So it could be that there's some opportunities in these areas of the arts for your children too. Maybe you'll work with your children in something to do with music and or dance or the arts, generally speaking. For others, that 5th house is the house of the heart, right? Love. So there's going to be some new start for some Pisces with regards to their love life too. And for others, this might be an opportunity for you to start your own business with regards to anything spiritually oriented, right? Yeah. When we look at that Mercury in shadow in March, going retrograde at the beginning of April, it's in your 6th house. So I would say the whole time period of March is going to be a time when you're reviewing. If you're not working, it's what am I doing day to day? And what do I want to do day to day? This is in Aries. It's what I want to do, right? Where I want to go. It's to do with your health. And this could be mental health, your diet, your exercise programs. And of course, it's your day-to-day job. And it's also small animals too, by the way. So there may be some discussions about, literally, you could make some discussion about, let's get an animal. I want to get a dog or I want to get a cat. And you start seeking out people that have that. And then in the whole April time period is a waiting time period for you to get access to this animal that you decide you want. But it could equally play out with regards to, say, you want to change your job. And you realize in March that, you're having all these discussions. It seems like they might be moving forward, but you're not sure, maybe negotiating for a different contract, a different job, more money. And then the retrograde hits at the beginning of April. And you have to go into some negotiations behind the scenes where you thought everything was moving forward here, and it's not. Don't give up hope, though, because, April's a packed month for big changes, unexpected positive changes, too. So as long as you're heading into negotiations with, pure intentions and wanting to have your value expressed through the money that you get or the job that you do, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Now, when we look at that full moon eclipse in Libra at 5 degrees, we're looking at your 12th house here. And so I'm thinking here there's going to be a wrap up for some Scorpios with regards to some legal matters of some sort. Maybe some legal matters will be handled behind the scenes and wrapped up for you. Maybe it's going to be you getting involved in some behind the scenes diplomacy type things. Maybe behind the scenes, working with people behind the scenes. This is like the negotiator. That's what I'm thinking. There's going to be some Scorpios that are involved in that type of thing towards the end of March. But it could also have you, fairly and in a balanced way, look at what you need to clean up in your life. Like maybe some things that you've been hiding under the carpet, you need to look at more closely and make a decision to put more balance and harmony in your life by letting some of these things go. I always say when you say recognize that you've got to do something here, but you don't know where to start with something physical, like cleaning up something. And it could be something as simple as cleaning up a drawer, cleaning up a space that is easy to clean up in half an hour or less. And it starts that process, right? The physical process starts the mind process as well. All right, take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that new moon in Pisces is going to be squaring your 4th house. And so this is going to bring in some consternation, some challenges, maybe some conflicts with regards to what? With regards to your family home, your present home, your mother, and by extension, your family. It's saying here you want a new start, but there's going to be some challenges. And because Sagittarius is about travel, but it's also about our future. And I'm getting the feeling here from most Sagittarians, it's you want a new future in a home. And it's just not coming together because either your family doesn't approve, your mother doesn't approve, or is challenging you with regards to this, or just as a big challenge with regards to getting and accessing this new home, this new thing that you want to start. And this new home that you may want it close to water, and it's just not coming together. Your family isn't supporting you in some way, or the place just doesn't exist right now. It doesn't mean it won't happen for you. It just means there's going to be some challenges with regards to you trying to make this new thing. It could also have some challenges with regards to you having to handle something, say, for your family maybe specifically for your mother. Maybe something is up with her, where you need to attend to her for some reason. And it's a challenge for you because you've got to work, take care of your own home, but then look after her. Now, when we look at Pisces, we're talking about anything compassion related. Are there compassion related institutions that can help you? Look into those. You may have to put some effort, that's a square, but maybe you can get some compassionate assistance for yourself and not have to deal with this just on your own. There's going to be some Sagittarians that fall in that category. When we look at that Mercury in shadow in Aries, well, we know it's in a fellow fire sign, right? And so this forms a trine with your 5th house. Well, hey, there's going to be some Sagittarians that are going to be meeting somebody new, starting a new love relationship, and maybe taking it behind the scenes in April time period to let it percolate a little bit. It can have for others starting your own business, where you start making inroads in making contact with people and literally contracts signed, messaging, all sorts of things, communications in March. And then in April time period, you realize you've got to take some of this and review it carefully. And these could literally be contracts are reviewed at this time. Connections with people are formalized or have to be formalized in a way that suits both of you, right? And promotes this new start with regards to your own business. For others, it could favorably bring in children into view. For others, it could bring in some kind of creative project where you, in March, get this creative project given to you and you're all excited about it. You sign on the dotted line, you're given the information in March, and then you go behind the scenes at the Mercury retrograde in April and maybe get this creative project moving forward. It could be a writing project connected with something creative or just a straight out creative project of some sort. For others, it could be some announcement with regards to children, and maybe it's an announcement in March that you're pregnant, right? It could be that. Now, when we look at that full moon in Libra, well, that sextiles your sign, Sagittarius, and aspects your 11th house. The 11th house is your hopes, dreams, and wishes, but more importantly, it's the friends that you have and the groups you belong to, as well as the money you make from your own business. And so that full moon eclipse, it could wrap up, give you an opportunity to maybe wrap up something to do with friends, where maybe you want to make new friends, maybe you want to join new groups. And this full moon, in a more natural way, gives you the opportunity to let a friendship go, to let an association with a group go at this time. But it can also represent, for those people that do have their own business, that you have an opportunity maybe to let go of something with regards to the income that you make. It doesn't mean, in my mind, that you're going to be losing the income that you make through your own business. I think that it's going to be you having to look carefully at the legal aspects. That's what I'm thinking. The legal aspects of making this money, your own money. Maybe there has to be some kind of guardrails put around that. Maybe even guardrails to protect you. Now, full moons usually mean culminations, but eclipses, hey, it can mean the other thing too, a new start. It can mean an ending and a new start. And it can mean a new start, period, or an ending, period. So all these things can be coming up depending what really starts manifesting for you, right? And that manifesting for you may happen at that Mercury in shadow, aspecting your 5th house of your own business. And maybe you want to start a new business. And that full moon eclipse allows you to let go of one business and maybe start another one. That's what I'm thinking here for some Sagittarius too. All right, Sagittarius, take care of yourself. So Capricorn. Capricorn, that new moon in Pisces sextiles your sign and involves your third house. So this favorably aspects anything to do with communications, writing, computers, your siblings, your neighbors, all these things, sales and commercial projects, all new beginnings in this area. And certainly when we look at Pisces, well, we're talking about water or any kind of liquids of any sort, but we're also talking about spiritual endeavors as well here, right? And then in a more practical sense, we're talking about institutions like hospitals, any compassionate project of any sort. These could all be up here for you in terms of a new opportunity. I mean, straight out, there may be some Capricorns get an opportunity to start writing something. It doesn't have to be a book, but writing something that has a real compassionate association with it. Maybe even something to do with hospitals or health of people. But there's a compassion element here as well. Maybe even something spiritual. Maybe some of you will write some spiritual stuff of some sort. It doesn't have to be a book, like I said. It could just be maybe you write an essay of some sort. That you get an opportunity to do that. For others, there may be this opportunity for the utilization of fluids and liquids of some sort with regards to a commercial or sales project here. And it's going to be different for everybody, okay? When we look at that Mercury in shadow in Aries, well, that squares your sign Capricorn and involves your fourth house. So there just may be difficult conversations that have to take place here. And the conversations may be in March open and you're able to talk. Then once the retrograde happens, you decide to review that and say, well, what I said in March, I would like to correct that or add something new to it. And then April is involved in maybe more honest communication of some sort. But this has to do with the home. So that's what? Your childhood home. It is the present home that you have. It is your mother, and by extension, your family, whoever your family is. So there may just be some difficulties and challenges that happen around this area that, you may have received some communication of some sort that you don't like. And that you have to incorporate that now with regards to your home and how your home is run at this time. It could be that, you're in communications with your mother and you realize that you're going to have to take care of some issues with regards to your mother or your family, right, of some sort. And it's a challenge for you. I say, reach out to people. You've got that whole new moon in that third house, highlighting positively communications. Reach out and communicate with your siblings because they may assist you with that whole Mercury retrograde square. Even your neighbors may help you too. All right, when we look at that full moon in Libra, that squares your sign too, and that involves your 10th house. So for some Capricorns, you may have just had enough in your career and you just want to change it, that you just want to get out of the career. For others, you may be given marching orders to up your game a little bit, where somebody wants you to take more work on with regards to your career. And again, this is a challenge for you. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. I say in this case, if this is you, Capricorn, take the 10,000-foot view and be honest with yourself and ask, is the career I'm in right now the one I should be in? Or is this just something I've got to polish up some skills that I have or take on new skills and then I should be fine? Look at both those kind of scenarios because this is an eclipse. You could have the opportunity of letting go of a career here and doing something different. And that doing something different may turn up at that new moon in Pisces, right? Communications come in to favorably give you opportunities in new areas. But for others, if you really just need to, there's a legal aspect or diplomacy aspect associated here too with regards to this square. And so, it's one of those things where you may have to be the emissary of bad news for some people at work, and you don't like doing it, right? It can be you being the negotiator where you feel you know what's right, but you got to listen to the other person. So that could also be, elements of that could also be here for some Capricorns. But hey, your good news is by November, Pluto is completely out of your sign. So that is something positive to look forward to. And hey, Capricorns, you also have 2 new moons this year, right? You already had one in January, and then you have another one literally at the end of December. So these are positive news. This whole year is a year of new starts for Capricorns, hands down. So don't forget that. Take care, Capricorn. All right, so Aquarius. Aquarius, when we look at that new moon in Pisces, it's in your 2nd house. Wow, how favorable is that? This is a new beginning in the money that you make. So new income stream coming in for you, generally speaking here, right? It could also be for some Aquarians, because of course, Aquarius, now you're hosting Pluto for the next 20 years in your sign. You might literally get some big inspiration to make money through some spiritual endeavor of some sort, some compassionate project, maybe something associated with hospitals or health of some matter. That may also be coming in here for you too. But I think this is generally a new start with regards to making money, a new source of income for you, Aquarius. So embrace that, right? Yeah. Let me just take a look. Let's see where Pluto is during that whole, so Pluto during this whole time period is going to be around that 1 degree. So all this month of March, you have Pluto. If you've got Aquarius, anything at 1 or 2 degrees of Aquarius, that's an extra bump up of transformational energy given to you, right? I like it. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is too, I'm thinking with Pisces, this could be, you get licensed to be a nurse and or doctor at this time. And that's where you see this new start of making money. Because these professions are associated with compassion, right? And service. Okay. When we look at that Mercury in shadow in March, it sextiles your sign and your 3rd house. So what does that say? It says to me that you may get some opportunities here to communicate more with your siblings, to communicate more with regards to your neighbors, communicate more with regards to a writing project of some sort. Maybe you're given this writing project during March, communications back and forth, everything's going great. And then the Mercury retrograde starts at the beginning of April. And, you go behind the scenes and start writing it up, whether it's writing a report, for some Aquarians, it's going to be writing a report, writing a book, writing an essay, and it could be connected with education too, right? Both that 3rd house and 9th house are educational houses as well, but very much associated with writing, I think, and communicating. So some opportunity that comes up in March, you're going to have to go behind the scenes either to review things or review things with people behind the scenes at that Mercury retrograde. It could also have you, I'm thinking, for some Aquarians, because this rules anything kind of electronic, social media and that, it could have you being given this opportunity to do something with social media and or the internet type things. And then during the April time period, you put it all together. You work with others to put it all together. Mm-hmm. Now that full moon in Libra trines you nicely, Aquarius, and your 9th house. So here we're highlighting now the opposite of the 3rd house, the 9th house. And so this is, wow, a wrap up. For some Aquarians, you're going to be publishing something here. Very positive. That trine beams positive energy into that 9th house. And for others, it could be Libra-oriented, which is a legal case gets stamped and finished at this time. Or some kind of legal matter gets tied up at this time. Doesn't mean you're going to be going into the courts and all that. It just might be something you wrap up that has a legal connotation, right? It can also be diplomacy. Maybe a diplomacy effort for some Aquarians wraps up as well at that eclipse. It's also travel. So there may be, for some folks, some Aquarians, maybe you've been doing some kind of diplomatic travel and it favorably now comes to an end. And you're happy about that. For others, it could literally be travel that you've been undertaking that comes to an end. Or maybe planning for travel overseas comes together for you and is supported for you. Yeah, others, it may be a wrap-up, or you see the wrap-up with regards to this advanced education that you can see you're going to be, finishing off this thesis and getting, that Ph.D. or master's conferred upon you. That could be up for some folks as well here. But the ninth house is also foreign people, foreign things. So these may also be highlighted in terms of a wrap-up of some sort. Maybe you've had to deal with putting contracts together. That's the legal part of it. And you finally get them all signed, sealed, and delivered at the full moon in Libra. But don't forget, you're also going to have a new moon on the 2nd of October, also in Libra, initiating a new start, right? All right, Aquarius, well, you've got Pluto pretty much in your sign from November this year for 20 years. Lots of transformation ahead for you. Take care, Aquarius. Okay, everybody. As always, I am sending everyone a lot of positive energy for March. Positive energy at that eclipse at the end of March. And, if anything negative does happen in March, try to see it, try to put a positive spin on it. Spend time thinking, okay, what are the positive aspects of this ending? Because there will be some endings in people's lives at this time. And hey, look forward to April when, oh my goodness, there's so much happening in April. And I will put that all together for you. As I said, I've got some of the April goings on, especially the Jupiter conjunct Uranus. I've also got a video, as I mentioned, so I'll put that link in here. And you can certainly, listen to that. I've got the ascendants and sun signs in there too. All right, sending you lots of love, everybody. Leave comments. I love doing charts. I love doing any astrology or tarot. Get in contact with me if you want me to do a reading for you. I love doing that. Lots of love to everybody. Please take care, and bye for now. Hi, everyone. It's Elizabeth here from Alpus Astrology. I'd like just to give you a little more detail about what I do with regards to the services I can offer you. Certainly, I suggest that if you've not had your chart ever done, this would be a good time to do it. Contact me. All my contact details are below, and we can talk to each other back and forth and arrange something for you. So I offer different services. I offer a full astrology report for two of my services. One is where I look at both your natal chart and your progress chart in detail. I accompany that with a physical chart, as well as your charts that I'm looking at for that year. I do what's called a transit chart, which really involves your progressed chart for that year in combination with your natal chart. I give you a report for that as well. Typically, I'd be updating an existing report for you. I have a lot of clients that come back to me yearly. And then the other service that I offer is a combination of taking a quick look at the astrology. Typically, it would be a year or 2 year, what stands out for me, looking at that, and then adding in at the end a tarot card reading to accompany it. I record that and send that to you pre-recorded. So that's not a live session. The other two that I do are live session. And then I offer, obviously, custom. I do a lot of picking marriage dates, compatibility. I typically use what are called Davison charts or synastry as well, where I can combine two charts to see how do these two charts of these people work together. More often, it's going to be sort of romantic relationships, but it can also be business relationships too. How well do we work together type thing by producing one chart. So I do all that. As I said, I would love to do your chart. Contact me below, and we can work together to make that happen for you.